Mayor TenHaken, we're wondering what have you been doing to stay active and whatnot during these times?
Yeah. Well, first off, Chad, thanks for inviting me to speak with you guys. So you guys are all different athletes, correct? That compete in different events for Special Olympics. Am I correct there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, during this time of COVID, which has been a really weird last few months in the city and across the state, really, I know all of you in each of your cities have been dealing with that. It's been super important to get out and be active, because I've seen a lot of people that have just, I don't know, felt sorry for themselves and just stayed inside and aren't getting active. And your mental health is very dependent on your physical health. And the more active you are, the better you feel. The better you feel about yourself, the better your attitude is. So for me, I like to run and bike. I also like to swim at our Midco Aquatic Center, but
I do. I love
just
swimming.
just reopened on Monday. So if you're in Sioux Falls, you can go to the Midco Aquatic Center again. We opened that back up. And I did it. There's a challenge going on in Sioux Falls right now. And it's really, any of you can do it in the whole state. It's called the 100-mile challenge. And I have challenged people to walk or run 100 miles in 100 days.
I can do that easy.
I know you can do that easy. So it's only a mile a day. And if you skip a day, you just make it up and do 2 miles. And to walk, it's really cool. It's been really fun to watch people do that. There's a lot of people that have been doing that. I had one person who they got to 100 miles in 16 days. Now, that person was a pretty big runner, so they ran a lot of miles every day. But it's been really fun to see. So that'd be a challenge that I'd throw out to you guys, since you're athletes, is see if you could do 100 miles in 100 days in that challenge, if you haven't already done that, because it's very achievable. And it's very cool to be able to say you did that. So for instance, I know someone's in Mitchell. I think Scott was in Mitchell. That's the equivalent of like me maybe running to Mitchell and back almost. Okay. So
Paul, can I say something?
Pretty big deal. You bet. Go ahead.
My daughter's school does the 100-mile club. And at the end of the school year, well, not this year, but we make, achieve a medal at the end of the school year if we get up to 100 miles. Okay. Since the COVID-19, we've done 226 miles, and that's not counting the ones that we had done in school.
Wow. 226?
Yes, we did.
That's incredible. Great work.
Karina, you could almost make it to Sioux Falls with that distance.
Yeah.
I've done when I was basically adolescent, if you may say. I walked from Sturgis to Whitewood, South Dakota, if anybody knows what that is.
Wow.
Impressive.
So let me ask this. When's the Special Olympic Games in South Dakota? What are you guys training for anything right now? And when are those?
Next year.
Well, I'll answer that for you guys right now. But we usually have summer games in May, and those obviously didn't happen, but we're working on trying to find some opportunities coming up, probably September. There's some protocols we need to kind of get in place and whatnot, but we're trying to build up some opportunities for athletes in different areas to get involved again.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, if that gets put together for September, Chad, you be sure to reach out to my office, invite me out, and if it works my schedule, I'd love to come.
Certainly, we'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Certainly.
So maybe I'll do this. Does anybody have any questions for me as the mayor?
I do.
All right, go ahead.
I know as a mayor, as a big city, you have to be under a lot of stress in the last month, not due to a lot of it to do with the COVID-19 and the riots that's been happening in Sioux Falls, because you guys are a bigger city and you have a lot more cases than the West River. How do you approach that as a mayor? I know it's full force, but how do
Great
you manage
question.
to keep your stress level under control without losing your mind?
Great question.
Yeah,
And
we see you still have all your hair, Mayor.
yeah, it's still there. I got a haircut yesterday,
I
but
did.
so that's a great question. And I'll tell you, this is why I appreciate chatting with you guys as Special Olympic athletes, because one of the best ways to manage stress is, for me, it's to exercise. And so that's something I've tried to continue throughout all this. I still make time to exercise and take care of myself. But the other thing that you have to remember, and this applies in all of life, when you're going through something challenging or difficult, like we have in the city, and all of you each are probably going through something difficult in your own life with either family or work or whatever, you have to realize that while it's hard when you're in the moment, that difficulty will pass at some point. You will get past that. It may seem like it's never going to end, but it will end. And let's say 5 years from now, you're going to look back and you're going to be like, remember in 2020 when we had to stay in our houses for like 3 months and the games were canceled in May and we thought it was the end of the world? And you'll probably laugh about it, okay? You will probably look back with some fond memories that you're making of this time. So you need to just keep a real positive attitude and not get drowned out in some of the negativity. Because when we talk about the riots, or we talk about COVID, or we talk about some of the social, racist kind of social justice challenges we're seeing in our cities, it's easy to get depressed, right? And start to get down a little bit. And people who get down have a tendency to spread that to other people. Those aren't people you want to be around. So
Well, I just wanted to thank you for keeping your head in control. Same with Jessica and Jill, because they have a very successful job. And I'm not sure who V40 is. I'm sure she's an officer. It's very, very difficult. I know with my daughter, with this change, it's been difficult and it's been very stressful for me in the last 60 days plus, because we just had to replace windshields that we were not expecting due to the hailstorm that we received this past Thursday. It ain't cheap, my friends. It is not cheap.
Yeah, I get it. Who else has a question? Does anyone else have a question they'd like to ask of me while I'm here?
Don?
I got to ask, is Jonna Toom, are you related to our Lieutenant Toom?
There we go.
There's a good chance of it, but I don't know the connection.
Okay. So Lieutenant Toom on our police department is one of the best guys you're ever going to meet in your life. He's an incredible man.
Yeah,
And,
we're closely related. We have
okay.
tiger blood, the same blood.
Okay. Oh, good.
Now that you say
like
so.
dinosaurs.
So, Mayor, I have a question.
Yeah.
What's your, we compete and probably, maybe Mel would be able to, or John, I don't know the exact number, but I want to say it's maybe 12 sports in South Dakota, but what's your favorite sport to compete in or follow?
Well, great question. I enjoy the sport of triathlon, and I don't get to do it as much as I would like, but triathlons are events where you start off with a swim, then you get on the bike, and you bike, and then you run. So it's 3 sports all in a row. So I have done a full Ironman triathlon. That was like my proudest accomplishment. So an Ironman is where you swim 2.5 miles, and then you bike 140 miles, and then you run 26 miles, all at one time. You do all
140.6.
140.6.
I can run faster. I've been running faster than Mike, bro. Watch out.
Mayor, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
It's not really a question, but it's a trivia question. You ready to answer?
Of course.
Who started the Special Olympics?
Who started the Special Olympics? Tell me what year it was started, and that will maybe give me a little hint.
Yeah, I know.
19-
I know who started it,
1964.
Mom. I know who started it. I know.
1964?
Oh.
Oh, I don't know.
Eunice
Amen.
Kennedy Shriver.
Yeah, he was a
Who was it? Say it again.
Eunice
Kennedy
Kennedy
Shriver.
Shriver.
Okay. I wouldn't have guessed that. I'm sorry.
She was JFK's brother or sister, and their
That's right.
sister, Eunice Kennedy Shriver, which is Rosemary's sister. Rosemary's the one that had the disability due to, I'm not too far into the book, but I believe it was the embotomy. So she wouldn't have any kids, and it caused her to have a disability in the beginning, but it wasn't as bad. They didn't
God.
have birth control back then. Sorry, I'm speaking so fast, but we got a time limit, and that's why I'm speaking so fast.
You're pretty, I can tell you're pretty shy and you don't like to talk much, so I'm glad you're talking a little bit.
I think
That's good.
Donna and Mel and everybody else will beg the difference.
I have a question for the mayor.
Yeah.
You say you're into your triathlons. How about now that with the aquatic center being open, how about possibly organizing a Sioux Falls mini triathlon?
Yes.
Oh, Michael, I would love to do that. I would love for someone else to do that, and I would be a part of it.
I'll do it.
Perhaps
know,
we should get a hold of Brad Lowry at USF. I'm sure you probably know him.
Of course. So here's the thing about sports, and you guys will probably, know this as athletes here, is that people say, oh, let's do a run, a 5K. It's easy. Those are a lot of work to put together. It sounds like, oh, you just run for 3 miles. So now you take a run.
It's actually 2.3 miles.
And you need to bike. So you need to bike on city streets. So how do we do that? And then you need to find a place where a whole bunch of people can swim in one spot. So Ironman, the organization that puts on these big triathlons, they've actually looked at Sioux Falls to do big triathlons here. The problem is we don't have a real great place in Sioux Falls where you can do an outdoor swim, where you can swim in a lake or something for a race like that. So
Brant Lake,
we got Wall
Brant
Lake,
and then cycle in.
Wall Lake is one that they've looked at. I would not recommend swimming in the Sioux River.
Well, they could swim in Madison, and then the bike in would be half of it, and then you do 2 laps around the city. That'd cover your 112. And then you'd have to do a lap of the city running.
You know what, Mayor TenHaken, I think Michael is volunteering to organize.
Sounds that way. Sounds that way. Thank you, Michael, for stepping up. This is incredible. I appreciate it.
I am a recent exercise science graduate of USF, just recently graduated, and I could use a job, Mayor. I could definitely use a job.
Okay.
So,
Oh, fun. Any other questions for me before I got to jump off here?
I've been working.
I have a compliment for you, sir. I every once in a while on the bike trail, I run into your parks guys, and I would like to say that you guys do a heck of a job keeping up the trails, and I know you're still making improvements and like the bike stations and everything else. So I'd like to say thank you very much for providing the environment for us to be able to keep our fitness.
I will share that with them. They'll appreciate hearing that.
That's great.
I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Anyone hear me? Hi. Hey, I'm Jessica McCart. I work at the prison, and I am a reserve police officer, and I serve for the law enforcement torch run. And I just wanted to give you a compliment as well. I'm not sure if you know too much about the law enforcement torch run yet, but we didn't have a whole lot of support from the previous mayor or many previous city leaders. And now with you stepping in, we've already had a lot more support, and we appreciate it. And we just want to let you know that we see it, and it's so appreciated. And we love that we have your backing to do what we do for these athletes, because we didn't have that before.
Definitely.
That means a lot. I really do appreciate our law enforcement right now more than ever. Sioux Falls does have really great law enforcement leaders, and we need to lift them up and encourage them, because it's a tough time to be in law enforcement, and so they need our support more than ever. So why don't we do this before I go? Can I take a picture of this and I'll post it, I'll share it on Twitter and everybody can see us all chatting. Is that all right? And if you don't want to be in the picture, you better turn your camera off. But I need some sort of like happy face. I need you doing something nuts. I need to make it look like you're having a good time, okay? So on the count of 3, we're gonna take a picture, all right? You ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, man. Some good looking people right there. Wow. All right, well, Chad, thanks for inviting me. And if you get the games put together in September, or there's an opportunity for me to come out and help kick off the games or do anything, I would love to do that. So please keep in touch with my office. You talk to Julie to set this up. Stay in touch with me and let me know. So.
Okay, will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Happy
Thank you.
Father's Day, Paul.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.